Hi, it's Andrea
And Jasmine.
from Natural Be Ewe Yarns.
And today is the kickoff for our Christmas in July knit along.
This is a perfect day. It's July 25th,
Mm-hmm.
and we only have 5 months to get all that Christmas knitting completed.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it's Christmas in July.
Yes, and the knit along is to get you in the mood for knitting, but the pattern and the final object can be a gift to yourself so that you've got something at Christmas as well.
Yeah.
Or somebody
you
special.
might want to give it to someone special, or you might fall in love with it depending on how the knit goes for you.
Maybe you'll make more than one.
Yeah, because it's a wonderful way to use up your Advent minis, and we're going to get a little bit more into what yarns you can use and color selection in a moment. First of all, we're talking about the Seaside Stole, which is my latest pattern that I put out for this knit along. There were 2 other patterns, but nobody seems to have picked up on doing either of those.
Right.
Which makes me feel really honored. Thank you all for purchasing the pattern and deciding to go
really
along.
Nice.
Yeah. I do know that we had a beginner knitter joining us, and if you are not intermediate, because the lace can be a bit challenging, we recommended the Born Trippy scarf, which is
also uses minis in a main color, and it is also a chevron pattern.
Yes.
Jasmine did modify the beginning and the end of that pattern for the new person because just to make it one cast on and have the edges go straight across just like the edge of this shawl.
Right. So I'm here to help walk through over the next 6 weeks or so, because we're finished just around Labor Day weekend.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to be here to walk everyone through, giving tips and tricks and answering any questions that may arise. But if you want a modified version of the Born Trippy, or if you want to do another pattern, let us know. Leave a comment below in the YouTube comment section, or send us a private message.
Well, I think that the other thing is someone was asking how to sign up for this knit along. And if you're going to join us weekly, it would be nice if in the actual event that Jasmine put up on Facebook, you mark yourself as going.
Right.
Then we know that you're part of the knit along. And in that discussion section will be where it would be nice if you shared your pictures of your progress.
We also have the group, the Year of Adventurous Knitting. Sometimes people don't post in the event itself. They rather post there. That's wonderful too.
Right.
We're not
Yeah. And like this is a virtual knit along, and yes, we would like you to use our yarn, but you can join us even if you're not using all of our yarn. The way to enter the contest for the draw that we'll have at the end is to actually use our yarn.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is the one thing. And
we've struggled in the past, and I know summer is crazy for everyone. So ballots for participation, and for photo upload and all of that, it might get muddled. And I'm thinking that the easiest way to dish out ballots is for people to upload their finished or almost complete project to the project page on Ravelry.
Yes.
And
at the beginning, we need a picture of your yarn in the event.
Oh, that's a new one. I was sticking straight to Ravelry.
Okay.
I thought it would be the best way. You know, when you go to a pattern.
Yeah, because you can do both. Yeah. Okay.
When you go to a pattern page on Ravelry, along the top heading, there's other projects, and then people get to see the pictures. Not everyone posts the finished project picture, but they post their progress along the way, or they add notes. And you can even add the yarn that you're working with in there.
Yes, and for us, that would be the perfect way to get entered into the draw so that we know that you're actually working.
Yeah, that way we're only checking one place rather than all of the internet.
Right, so I'm sorry I muddled that. I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
I tend to do that. You'll notice as we go along that I tend to throw a monkey wrench into things.
That's all right. It keeps it fresh.
It sure does.
If you're not using Ravelry, contact us. We'll get you set up to use Ravelry. Yep. It's really simple. You just create a free profile. And I think that it's, going forward, we might do more stuff on Ravelry with knit-alongs. Yeah. Enough said. Let's get into it.
Yes,
first of all...
The errata.
Yes. You want to tell the story?
Yeah. So, everybody was getting ready to start the knit along today. Today's kickoff day. And as usual, there are always those of us that can't wait.
Ooh.
Because it's like you either have to finish the last project so that you can start on time, or you didn't start something new so that you would not have anything on the needles. And so that sometimes causes people to say, okay, to heck with it, I'm going to start.
Yes.
And thank God someone did, because she ended up contacting us and saying, something's not quite right. And
listen, I'm going to preface this by I have designed only a handful of patterns. And so when designing, I don't have a system in place yet. I just sort of leave myself notes rather than start typing it up. And I misread my notes.
And it's just a matter of casting on.
The first line of the pattern after the heading set up tells you to cast on 111 stitches. This is if you downloaded the first version of the pattern. Everyone who purchased through Ravelry should have been notified that there was a second version, because it should read cast on 103 stitches.
Jasmine counted the outside edge stitches twice or something.
No, I was convoluted. Look, I was trying to go by my gauge, and I'm going to talk about gauge in a minute, and using gauge, determining how wide I wanted it, how many stitches I needed to cast on. So that's how I got 111, so that it would be 20 inches wide. Now, my pattern is in multiples of 8 plus 1 for both the chevron and the lace. And you, as the knitter, don't really need to know this. You'll see the repetitions, and it will make sense as you go. But as the designer, 8 plus 1 doesn't go into 111. So I made adjustments. I didn't read my own notes when I typed out the pattern. I've looked back over the entire thing, and you've knit a little portion of it.
Well, yeah.
I'm almost certain that is the only mistake, but what a mistake to make.
So I didn't know any of this, and I certainly didn't have access to Jasmine's notes. So when we got the notification about things not working out, I took scrap yarn and a pair of needles, and I cast on, and I knit the first row, and I went, yep. It doesn't quite work.
It doesn't work.
So then I tried to figure out what could possibly have gone wrong. And when I thought I had the answer, I also knit the first 2 rows of the lace section, and to make sure that it worked for that part as well. So this is the right number.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I apologize for human error, but at least you know an AI didn't create the pattern. But what a way to kick it off. You are going to be casting on 103 stitches for your Seaside Stole, and you can use the long tail cast on method or whatever method you prefer. With long tail, in order to make sure that I have a long enough tail to complete it, I will wrap my working yarn around the needle 10 times to account for 10 stitches, leaving a 3-inch tail. And then taking from the end of the 3-inch tail, I will take the last portion that I wrapped around, I'll measure that out. And I will just multiply it down my yarn, working sort of in a seesaw method until I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 100.
I just go, okay, approximately 30 per arm length. And go 1, 2, 3 is 100 and is 90. So okay, for good measure, we'll do 1 more arm length, and I'll have more than enough, I hope.
Yes, there is there's the method of casting on using both ends of the yarn, the inside pull and the outside.
Yes.
So that you don't run out of yarn, and then you just cut the one. There's many ways to do the long tail cast on, but cable cast on would work as well, and whatever method you prefer.
Right.
Yeah. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the pattern, there are some people still waiting on their yarn to arrive, and people who might be joining us late. So why don't we talk a bit about color?
Right.
Your favorite thing.
My favorite thing. Gee, I wonder why. So there's definite sections, as you can see in the pattern. And the lace section, there are 4 segments of lace. So Jasmine in the sample used 2 of our 50-gram skeins and alternated them for the sections. So this is green, the next one's blue, then it's green, and then it's blue. So that way they complement each other here as well. You could use minis for those 4 sections as well and use 4 different colors.
Right.
Or you can use a full skein and make all the lace sections the same color.
Right. The second page of the pattern, page 2, talks about choosing color and how you can really make this your own shawl. It doesn't have to look anything like mine because you can choose to use 2 full skeins with 4 of our minis, which are 25 grams, as Andrea said. If you're using somebody else's minis, they might not be long enough to complete the lace sections. That is something you should take in mind.
Our minis are 25 grams and the most minis out there are 20 grams, so you would run short.
Right. I not only knit it, but I weighed my yarn as I went so that when I wrote the pattern, I knew specifically how many grams you needed so I could translate that into yardage. I used 50 grams for the chevron on either side, the beginning and end chevron. Each lace section.
So twice, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
50 grams, 50 grams.
Okay, so.
Okay, of my main color, this is the main color MC, I used 150 grams. 50 on either end.
Right, and then.
And the additional 50 was split up into 3 panels around the shoulders.
Ah, okay.
So.
But theoretically, somebody could make these sections a little longer or shorter, right?
They could, yes, especially if they're working with
Minis?
a full skein or with minis. Okay, but let's not confuse them. I still want to get through the.
Okay, sorry.
The lace panels. This is called the fishtail lace. This works out to exactly 50 grams each panel.
25.
25. Yes, 25. You are correct. That is why I could use a 50 gram skein twice. Blue and blue, green and green. So that's why minis will work for them, but 25 gram minis rather than 20. Yeah. Why don't we play with some color?
Sure.
Okay.
Why don't you grab a mini skein set?
Yes.
We'll start that way. So if you were using a minis, 4 minis for the lace sections, let me see that one.
This is called Sweet Dreams.
So then you would need 1 contrast color. What do you think would work? How dark is the purple?
The purple is quite dark. I'd use probably that light purple. Yeah, that would be really pretty. This one is called Lovely Lilac. And if using minis, you're going to need 2 full skeins.
2 main color and the 4 minis for the lace.
Now this is on our Echo Merino, so sometimes we make them in 50 gram skeins as well, but unfortunately that's not an option. You will need 2 full skeins of this. Yeah.
Right.
What else?
I think that I don't know, is there a mini skein set that would go with Chowder?
Sure. I think She's a Wildflower would look really nice with that.
And I think that if you keep the multicolored skein for the regular chevron and more tonals for the lace would show up nicer.
It's important that there isn't too much variegation in the lace, or you won't be able to see the delicate fishtail that is each little arch in the lace.
But sometimes it's nice to have a subtle pattern too.
That is
But just be aware that that's how the options would change.
There was one more I wanted to do. What was it? This is called Summer Fever, and I think for subtle contrast, you could go with, this is a skein of our Dragon's Breath. Do you see how you could stay within a sort of a tone range?
Mm-hmm.
So that the lace sections, this is variegated. You've got beautiful purples and, like a pinky color in there, burgundy.
Yeah, so a multicolored main color would work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going with a solid color for the main, then obviously all kinds of minis would work.
Yeah. Would you want this one? Or
I don't
this
know.
one?
Let's go a random one.
Would that work?
Not really. Not this particular solid.
You'd have to be a little bit crazed. No. You'd want to have to.
Maybe the green.
This reminds me of the Aster Tea. If you've done a knit along with us last spring, we did the Aster Tea as well as the Sprocket sweater, and I chose green for the the body, and purples and oranges for the asters along
And that
the
looked really nice.
yoke.
Yeah. Is that on the website under our knits?
It sure is.
So then you can see what the combination would look like if you go on our website, and at the headings there's our knits. So
I'm pretty sure it's there. I don't know what I do. This pattern also works. I brought in the colors I used. Could you pull it up?
Sure.
Because you can also do as I did, just using 2 50-gram skeins. So I chose a more muted combination of colors.
But you would need
here.
2 of the main, right?
You would need 2 of the main, and you would need 1 each of these 50 grams, acting as CC1 and CC2.
And there's all kinds of different combinations of 50-gram skeins, right? Because we've got mismatched sock sets, which are 2 50-gram skeins. So this one, for example,
I don't know if you like that color combination.
I'm not sure if I like the purple.
But you can't use this one. It's too similar. Oh, no, it's not. That would look really lovely.
It would. I like it with the blue, I think.
Oh, the blue would be even prettier. So I haven't named off these colors. This is Ripple, and this is our mismatched sock set, number 8, I believe. Isn't that pretty?
So if you're still shopping online and you need some help with whether or not something,
if you need some help,
then send us a message, and we will help you with the color choices.
Yes, because not only can this be done with minis and a main skein or 50 grams, but you can also do it with one of our gradient sets. So it's a little bit different with the gradient set. It has all the yarn you need and the yardage, but you have to decide which skeins are going to represent your, I'll turn it around, which skeins are going to represent your lace and which are going to be your main color. And as it gradiates, as you move through the knit, it will gradiate. So I would use the 3 in the middle as my main color, and the 2 on the end as contrast. Now this one would be really subtle contrast, right? Because this is more of a true gradient. Yeah, this is called the Jewels on the website. And it changes a little bit with, like, let's see, this one we sold to someone for the knit along, and I'd love to talk about that because
I think it would be good to use the end ones for the contrast and these for the main.
And I disagree, but I mean that's the
What would
beauty
you
of
do
it.
it the other way around?
I would do it the other way.
These would be the contrast.
Those would be the contrast.
So the lace. Then these would be the main, and it would change throughout the
shawl. So it would be
a
purple to blue gradient, and with pops of color for the lace. The other way, it would still be beautiful, and the colors would pop too.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of taste and how much contrast or not that you want.
We've also had people buy just 2 main skeins and an extra skein to be the contrast.
Yeah. So 2
that's
colors.
a 2
You
color.
could do it all one color. That would be.
You really could.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of ways to play with color, whether you are using your Merry Maritimes Advent
from
minis,
last year,
or you are digging around and using from stash, and you have some beautiful hand-dyed yarn. You can go with full skeins, or if you didn't know what to do with that beautiful mismatched sock set that you bought, you can really.
There's your contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, what else should we talk about?
I think that the point is there are so many options and so many different patterns, not just this one, that oftentimes it's really handy to have the minis from an advent calendar available. And then that way you can choose the colors that you want in the minis and just find the main color that coordinates with those. And
I did design this shawl to be used with minis because I mean, we promote our Merry Maritimes Advent calendar, which you can still pre-order for this year. We promote it all the time, and then we say there's so many different patterns in which it's great to use them for color. And we've done it in yokes of sweaters and
headbands and mitts.
And crazy socks. And, you know, shawls are one where it's more widely used and designed like that. But I did want to make something that was meditative and easy. So the chevron, I mean, it's just 2 row repeats, right? The right side is a knit with increases and decreases to create that wave, which is meant to represent the ocean. And then when you get to the lace, it's 6-row repeats. And I think for the first 1 or 2, you might have to read the pattern to retain what you're doing, but then it's
the eyelets kind of have a pattern, right?
Yes, yeah.
So
and it becomes, I memorized it. It became second nature. I didn't even need to look at my notes. So in that way, I knew what I was doing and I was focused on it, especially in the lace. You have to stay a bit focused. But it was meditative and mindful.
And it's easy to find your spot again because there is a definite pattern to it's a relatively easy lace pattern, and there's a definite pattern to where the eyelets are.
And I also designed it with 3 garter stitches on each side. So you cast on and you knit 3 and you place a marker. You continue in the pattern, and before the last 3 stitches you place a marker, so that along the edge, moving up the shawl, you always knit, no matter if you're on a right side or wrong side.
Which gives you a garter ridge.
Which helps the shawl lay flat, like as you block it, then it won't curl in on itself. But also it helps you count, how many rows am I at? And where did this one start? I found it really, because the chevrons do pull on the yarn up and down, and the lace can be full of eyelets.
Right.
It helps you count how many rows you've done. Every ridge is 2 rows.
That's a really good thing to point out. Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
It's just another way to keep track of where you are in your pattern.
Right.
Plus, every time you're on a wrong side row, and it will become noticeable because it's all purl, then you know you're just purling.
Yeah, and that's easy enough. You can do that. It's quite meditative to just knit or just purl.
So I challenge you to start on the first chevron, the setup. If you are in the mood, you can work up to the lace, but why don't we just focus on doing the first chevron this week? And if you were working with minis, because you could do the whole thing in just minis, you could do 2 different color sections here. And whether you choose to do color blocks or stripe them in. I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's so many possibilities.
I want to see how people are coming along in different ways that you're getting creative with it.
Yeah.
If you are doing another shawl pattern that I recommended, please make note of that. Let me aware so I can follow along with that as well.
Right. Yeah, because we don't want to leave anybody on the sidelines. We want to include everybody.
Next week, I think I'll do a demo of how to start the lace section.
And maybe do that, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over.
Oh, yes, I suppose because I just thought everyone would know that, but
it is a little bit more advanced, that particular one. So in the lace section, there's a stitch that you may not have come across before that Jasmine can explain next week.
Yes, and be very happy to. It's the slip knit 2 SK2PO, and it translates to slip 1 knitwise, and then knit 2 together, and then pass that slip stitch over. So you're actually
taking 3 and making it 1.
Yes, you're decreasing by 2, which
pulls it together and makes the V.
Yeah, but it's in the fishtail section,
right,
so you don't realize that you're making a V, but you are. And then the eyelets will sort of frame on either side of the V to highlight what looks like a bit of a fishtail. I almost called it the mermaid stitch because it does create, or the whale tail. Like, I didn't know what to call it, but I went by its popular name in case you needed to look up tutorials.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I'm going to have my own. I'm going to try and get Mom to film as I do the stitch, and so everyone can watch along. But this way...
That should be an adventure in itself. Me holding still.
But
here she is. Can you see what she's doing? Just nod your head.
Oh, you're not that bad at filming. But yeah, we're gonna maybe use a tripod. But I do want everyone to be able to, if they have problems, reach out, and you can do that through contacting us directly via email.
I think that if we make
Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, make it's probably better to do it either in the discussion section of the event.
Yes.
So that other people that may have the same question already have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Or we can help each other that way. That's
Right.
it's virtual and we're doing the one talking, but everybody can communicate in the discussion section of the event itself.
Yes. And if we do receive communication outside of that, if we deem it necessary or helpful to everyone, we will post it separately. And I think
In the discussion?
in the discussion section, yes, I'll probably share the post to the Year of Adventurous Knitting for people who aren't checking the discussion section. And maybe I'll leave notes on the Ravelry pattern page as well.
Wow.
You know, after the
it gets to be quite a lot to do.
I really want people to not miss anything. And the best way to do that is to try to watch these videos either when they're published at 4 p.m. or whenever is handy for you in your journey. But
that's the nice thing about the virtual thing. You can do it on your own time.
But I don't want anyone to miss anything. So I'll go overboard trying to get every little bit of information out there.
She's pretty good at it.
I do want to say that the chevron section, you cast on and you immediately start the chevron pattern. Don't knit a row or purl a row back,
Yeah.
Jumping right
you have
into
to
it.
establish the zigzag right from the get-go.
Yeah. I had someone ask me that, so that's why I'm mentioning it.
And in the end, you only need to, you'll end up memorizing that first row, because every other row is the first row.
Oh yeah, that's gonna become like
so you
tattooed.
you'll end up knowing
On your
that off
mind.
by heart, purling back and doing it again, purling back. So that's all that the chevron ends up being.
Right, and by starting it immediately, you are pulling up those edges, which is going to give you a lovely sort of scalloped look, which is repeated over here. But
I like the way that the
the
colors
inverse.
show from the yarn that you chose.
Yeah, the chevron is a wonderful section to play with speckling or variegated skeins, and to really, like with our naturally dyed skeins, you don't tend to get a lot of pooling.
There is no pooling in this. This is like, and that was, which skein is it? This one?
Yes, wild sumac is what you called it. We are almost out of it, so if you watch to knit with it, there's another colorway that is similar, a little different. It's called She Will Be Loved.
Right.
And
what about Dragon's Breath? Is that
Dragon's Breath is right here.
Right, that's
But She Will Be Loved
deeper.
is this one, this skein here. And if you hold them up together, they look very, very similar.
Yeah, this one's got a bit more purple.
It does. It's got a
greater variation in it. And then this one's just deeper.
I'm sorry, we dye with the same stuff, all natural dyes, and sometimes our colors are very similar. That would make a lovely gradient.
It would. And that's the nice thing of the natural dyed yarn too, is that we do end up getting gradients quite automatically almost. And the yarn tends to have things that match with it.
Yes.
So it's true of our yarn on a regular day, but it's definitely true of things like gradient sets, mini sets, and advent calendars.
Right. And natural dyes, you can do like I did, muted tones, or like pull out Lunenburg. That is such a pop, right? There are different ways in which you can
get deeper colors.
Get deeper colors, and well, I wouldn't do that one necessarily, but yeah, there's a lot of variation and playfulness in natural colors as well. And I think people just assume pastels, they assume muted tones, and Andrea does not like to be underestimated. So whether you like something subtle or you want to splash a color, it can be achieved.
Yes. Now, our colors are rotating quite quickly so that we're getting new ones as old ones are gone, because some of the colors that you might want to use that were previously on the website, where there's only one or two left of, they may be available at one of our retailers. So I know that a couple of retailers have mini sets, gradient sets, and for sure, even the sock sets, right? So
there is a list of retailers on our website. Look for us at a yarn shop near you. If we don't have a gradient you love, check Sisterhood or Tracy's Rolling Yarn Truck. If you want some mini skeins, same. Mismatched sock sets and wonderful selection of our yarns can be found at The Loop in Halifax. Yeah.
And
And
Fia too.
Fia has
Yes.
echo base, yeah, but not 50 grams. That's for people who want to do nothing but full skeins.
Mm-hmm.
And Margaret and PEI and Nitpickers has a selection of our goths as well, which again,
They can be
could work.
used, interchangeably. Really, they're both fingering weight.
Mm-hmm. If
So-
you're in the Toronto area, you're gonna want to head over to Yarns Untangled to get some of our
And
yarn.
and in Kingston, Belleville area, there is Grey Heron Yarn Shop in Belleville.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So if you were playing with a color or eyeing something on the website and you don't see it because it's gone, chances are it's not gone. Somebody has it somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you are looking to order online because you want to join but you're a little late and you want to get free shipping, grab a friend. There is a way to send them your cart so they can even add to it on our website.
oh,
Yeah, on the PC desktop version, the cart icon in the top right corner, you just put your cursor up there and a little drop down menu will appear telling you what's in your cart, and there will be a toggle button that says invite people to your cart.
oh, wow.
You can click that and it will ask you to add their email address and they will be added to your cart. They will click the link and they can add more items to that cart and you can check out together.
Is that a nice way to make your Christmas list and share it to somebody that can
It
get
would
it
be a
for you?
really nice way to make your Christmas list.
Put an advent calendar on it.
Right?
Send it to the person that should know.
So once you're over a certain dollar point, that's $200 or more, then it's free shipping and everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's all I have to say today.
Yes.
If you have any questions about my pattern or another pattern that was recommended for this, please leave a comment below.
Yes. And for those of you local, we are going to be at A1 Pizza and Waterview Restaurant tonight for our regular every other week knit night.
Mm-hmm.
And you can join us there for the castle.
Last summer we suspended those because so many people went away, but we are, fingers crossed, going to keep going this summer, especially with the knit along.
And if you happen to be traveling and you want to join a knit along while you're in this area, you're more than welcome to come.
Okay, fantastic. That's us for today.
Yes. And so be natural.
Be you.
We'll see you next time.